I'm going to start by asking, what is your assessment of the state of the nation?
Well, I would say that everybody knows that we are in a very difficult situation. In dire straits, let me put it that way. Last Tuesday, we discussed it on the floor of the Senate, and you could see that it was a bipartisan discussion. And contrary to the usual expectation of people defending their party and government, irrespective of what is going on, you could see that it wasn't really us from the opposition from the PDP, as much as we spoke, but the majority of those who spoke were from the APC. And of course, one of the very telling remarks that was made was by Smart Adeyemi, who is an APC senator, and where he said, even though I'm an APC senator and I defend my party, but this one we can no longer keep quiet. In other words, it's time for Nigerians, all Nigerians, to come out and say enough of this bloodshed in the country.
And beyond what Nigerians can do, in your opinion, is this government, which you are a part of, doing enough to address these problems that we're seeing?
I think one of the, I would say, misconceptions that we have, and one of the things that are used by those in the executive arm of government is always to say, oh, after all of us are in government. All of us are not in the executive arm who have the primary responsibility of ensuring the security and welfare of the people. My job is to be a legislator and say, this is the best way to go, which I have done severally. Severally, I have done it. As far back as 2017, I got up on the floor of the Senate and said, from what we are seeing, this government is not competent enough to deal with the issue. And this government must give way if they cannot tackle the problems. Of course, I was pilloried and everybody said all manners of things. And of course, the usual suspects from the presidential villa came out to say, oh, it's opposition, and after all, PDP didn't do A or B or C. But when 2021 now, things have gotten much, much worse. And things have gotten to the situation now that even the survival of the country is now in doubt.
You know, when you say things have gotten much worse, a lot of people on the opposing side of your party would say that we're not seeing the kind of bombings that we were seeing under the previous administration that was led by the PDP. And so, in a sense, things are not exactly as bad as they used to be. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. In fact, it's the greatest lie anybody can tell. Under the PDP, you can drive from here to Kano. I was doing it. Under the PDP, you can drive from here to Kaduna at any time of the day. Now, under the APC, even army generals now have to struggle to enter the train to go to Kaduna because that is the only safest way of going. You can't go there. Yesterday, some NGO wanted to come and have an interaction with me. And they were coming from Katsina. And I waited, and they now sent me a message and said, "We're very sorry. We can't go on the road. The place is very, very unsafe. And so we're waiting to be able to get a flight out of Katsina, and there's no flights daily." So you could see that it's, for all purposes, a dangerous, terrible thing. Under the PDP, you could drive from here all the way down to Oyo, down to the west, go to Ijesha, go anywhere. But yes, a couple of days ago too, I think on Sunday, a senator was attacked twice, coming from Edo State, from his constituency to Abuja. And the people with him were shot. They are still in the hospital. He himself has been traumatized. Because how could somebody attack you on the road twice? Gunmen. Same thing everywhere. The whole country. At that time, under the PDP, we had just the insurgency only in the northeast. Under the APC, they have exported it all over the country. And you now turn around and say, "Oh, there was bombing." Will it not have been better to have one or two bombs than to have everywhere you can't move? Everywhere. So let nobody just tell you that story. It's only begging the issue when people start to make all those kind of, I would say, very, very foolish comparison. The point really is this. Even at that time when those things were happening, the APC used it and said, "Oh, why don't, once we come into power, these things will not happen again. Once we come into power, this will never happen." And there's a viral video going around now of Governor El-Rufai and the things he said. And he said, "Oh, why should I keep quiet? Don't tell me that I shouldn't politicize it. If you don't want me to politicize, then you solve the problem." What is going on today? The same people from the presidency, when we criticized them and said, "You're not doing what you promised to," they say, "Oh, don't politicize it." Can you imagine that type of thing? Shamelessly, they are able to come back to say, "Don't even politicize." This was what they did. And it was never as bad as it is today.